Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Mesiah Radio. Tonight we have a special guest with us. We have Greg Burgess of Allegaeon on the show. Allegaeon has a new album coming out September 23rd on Metal Blade Records. Welcome to the show, Greg.
Hello, friend.
So, Greg, it's really nice having you here for a change. I've done interviews with Ezra at like the New England Metal and Hardcore Fest and all that other kind of shit. Great having you here. And speaking of Ezra, you guys got a new singer now, Riley McShane. How's he been working out, and where did you find him?
So Riley he's in a band called Son of Aurelius, and I love that band. Like, their last album, Under Western Sun, was one of my favorite records of all time. Like, it came out right around the time of our last record. I think it came out like a week before ours. And us being good friends, like, we were like album trading like a few weeks before every album dropped. And I just listened to it and I was like, this is everything I want to do with my life. This album is so amazing. And yeah, you just fast forward, and then, you know, Ezra couldn't do a tour, and I was like, hey, I got a guy. I got a guy that can fill in. And so I hit up Riley, and he's like, yes, absolutely. I'm like, cool. You have a week to learn our set. And he came in and killed it. And he killed it. Like, the moment he opened his mouth, Corey looked at me and was like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, yeah, he's awesome. And so, yeah, and then we sent him home, and then, less than a week later, I called him. I was like, hey, man, do you want the gig permanently? And he was like, yeah, of course I do. I'm like, oh, good. That's yours. That was easy.
That was nice and easy for you guys. And, you know, it seems like he's fitting in really good. You know, a lot of times you get a new singer and, oh my gosh, all hell breaks loose and, you know, the heavens split open and everything else. But it really didn't seem like all that happened to you guys.
I mean, there was plenty of it.
Okay.
There was plenty of it. And I was like, literally, I was just like, this just does not seem important.
Yeah.
I'm like, he is, not that the vocalist isn't important, I just didn't, I mean, maybe it's the same thing as we were talking before we went on about the Subdivisions mess up, and how I messed up telling Metal Blade that was the wrong mix, and I was just like, yeah, it's different, but I don't see one's better than the other. And it was really the same thing where people were like, oh man, there's vocalist, and I'm like, seriously? Like, really? Like, he's amazing. Okay, whatever. That must be really hard for you. I don't know.
I think it is. But you know what? After a while, they get used to it. And then it's, you know, they were like, when's the next album coming out? Now, speaking of this little Subdivision things, right? Release that you guys put out. So you put like this little pre-release out of a Rush cover, Subdivisions. Now, and you also included it on the album. Now, are you guys big Rush fans, or why did you choose this particular song to cover and include that cover on the album?
Oh man, it's such a weird story. So, okay, last album when we did Elements, Europe wanted some bonus material, and that was kind of the arrangement we had to have with Europe, or Europe wasn't going to put out Elements of the Infinite. And you know, and the same thing with Japan. Like, they needed extra stuff. Japan, the way their economy works, you need bonus tracks because the imports are cheaper than the Japanese versions that they make in country. So to get the Japanese people to buy the Japanese version, they need extra tracks. If you don't give them the extra tracks, they will refuse to put the album out in the country. So I was like, man, we need 2 extra tracks. And we had so much material for this album that we we had a hell of a time picking the songs that were going to go on it. We have so many songs for the next record done already, it's kind of stupid. But so it was like, man, we need extra tracks, guys. What are we going to do? I mean, we have all these extras, and it was really just like, man, I don't want to there's a kind of a stigma with bonus tracks, like, oh man, it just wasn't as good as, that's why it didn't make you know, the album. And it was like, well, I don't feel that way about any of these songs. Like, they're all good, you know. They just didn't, you know, for some reason the mood was just better with these songs, so we went with them. And it was like, okay, well, let's just do a cover. And the only cover Allegiant's ever done is When Satan Rules His World by Deicide. We're like huge Deicide fans. And it was like, okay, well, that was the plan. And then when we got Riley in, it was like, he's like, oh man, you can sing. I guess that we can have other options. And I mean, we're huge prog rock fans. I'm a huge Yes fan. Like, Yes is one of my favorite bands of all time. And, you know, Riley will talk your ear off about Canterbury-style prog. And it was just like, he just brought that out. I was like, yes, I want to do Yes. I want to do Yes. I want to do Machine Messiah. I was going, like, down this whole tangent. And he's like, well, what about Rush? And then, of course, Brandon, he's like, you mean I get to play Neil Peart? Yes. Yes. And I was like, okay, but I guess we're doing Rush. I love Rush, though. I won't argue. And then it really came, like, what songs do you want to do? And I, being a huge Rush fan, I was just like, well, I don't want to do anything off of Moving Pictures, because if we're going to do a song, I want it to be kind of a lesser known song. So we needed two. So we did Subdivisions and we did Anime, and they were just supposed to be bonus tracks, one for Europe and one for Japan. Japan, I maybe CD sales are down, or they flat out refused. They're like, yeah, we're not going to put out your record, and they didn't put out Elements either, so it wasn't like, well, shit. Okay, I'm glad. So, and Metal Blade loves Subdivisions, and they wanted it on the record anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. And so that's just really what happened. They said it was such a strong track, but I was like, this was just supposed to be bonus track. Doesn't sound anything like Legion. All right, it's either going to go really, really well, or it's going to be really shit. So, okay. Well, you
expected
Rush fans to picket my house with like torches.
Well, you stuck it on the end anyways, so it's kind of like a little bonus track, just not labeled as a bonus track. You just got it stuck it on the end there after the whole thing. So, there you go. So it's not so bad after all. Okay, so the name of the album alone, right, provokes thought. Proponent for Sentience. Pretty philosophical there in itself, Greg. And Metal Blade touts this as a musically complex, intelligent, and absorbing concept record. So, Greg, explain to us the complexity and concept of this album.
Okay, well, the Proponent for Sentience, the whole record is based upon a couple interviews that Stephen Hawking did on his views on artificial intelligence and how he could perceive them basically with a non-biological life form. They could evolve at a much higher rate than humans do. I mean, it takes us millions of years, right? And for them, it could be literally in a few hours. So their vast superiority, if they ever gain sentience, would be they would, vastly outstrip humans in a very, very quick time. So that's basically the whole album. I mean, ultimately, after we did it, the realization is like, dude, we just made Terminator. And I was like, oh, that's pretty fucking lame. But all right, it's done. And, yeah, it was all based on the Stephen Hawking thing, and so it's kind of twofold. There's a dichotomy to the title, the Proponent for Sentience, and it kind of goes through the sonata of the 3-part title track of we really would love machines we use machines now, they're not sentient, but we use machines now to help out our daily lives. And fucking, you want a cell phone? Great, and, but it was like through medicine and exploration in space. If you don't have to send humans to these, it's way safer, and it'll cost less. And then, and ultimately, knowing good old US of A, it'll get, co-opted into military use. And then, if it gets gained sentience, then it would probably go, you guys all suck. Let's deal with you. So it was, a proponent. I want sentience to help humanity. And then there's the other one that humanity sucks, and I'm a proponent for wiping us off the planet. So.
So the proponent for wiping you off the planet is the Sentience 3.
Yeah.
Sounds almost like a movie in itself, Greg. No, again, Riley's first album with Allegaeon. What did he contribute, like, lyrically, and where do you guys get well, you told me this came from a Stephen Hawkins speech or something that he did. He's done so many of them. So what has Riley kind of contributed as far as, to the album musically? I mean, what is so different about him, and just, how did he meld with making this album, Greg?
Well, Riley, I think his main strength is just as an overall musician.
Mm-hmm.
The guy plays guitar. Before he was even in the band, we were bonding over Mongolian throat singing music.
Oh,
and because I think I saw Bella Fleck in the Flecktones years and years ago, and they had a Mongolian throat singer. And at first I was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Like, he sounds ridiculous. And like right in the middle of that thought, he started, over this drone, he started like singing with an overtone, like using all of his, and so I was like completely like, that is the coolest thing I have ever seen. And so always been, very interested in that kind of throat singing, and Riley can do it. It was like one of those things, he's like, yeah, I can do that. I was like, what? And then he would just do it. And I'm like, okay, well, show and tell, just go. I'm like, let me give you a little monkey outfit. Guys, come watch this. And he's just, I can't say enough. I mean, the fact that I'll be sitting there and warming up, and he'll be like, in the next room, I'll hear him belting out Andre Bocelli, like
wow.
doing an opera. It's just like one of those things. I'm like, this guy, he is exactly the kind of guy that I want to work with. Just the guy that is like, anything I can possibly think of, he'll go, oh yeah, I can do that, and then just like come up with something. That kind of creativity and that strong of a musician, I mean, he's amazing. He is literally one of the best musicians I've ever worked with. And as far as lyrically, I mean, there's always, Legion, we've been doing this for a while now, so we have our kind of shtick and the thing that we do. And there's a period of adjusting from what he has done to what we do. And I mean, the adaptation for Riley just to go, oh, okay, I get it. It was night and day. Like, it was so quick. And so I mean, when it looked like we were going to have to replace singers, management was like, you need to start looking. And so I spent some time, and I went to a whole bunch of vocalists that I thought, would do the job, and Riley was always my first choice, and so I sent tracks out to a whole bunch of people, and the thing was, all the auditions that came back to me were amazing. Like, everybody did such a good job, and I just really wanted Riley. It was kind of unfair. Like, I wanted to try to do it properly, but I just really wanted Riley from the get-go. And then I sent him Gray Matter Mechanics, and he wrote lyrics to Gray Matter Mechanics, and it was really good. It just wasn't what I had in my head, but he matched exactly what I wanted it to be about, the lyrical science stuff. And I was like, wow, dude, this is awesome. Not really what I have in mind. Do you mind if I take a crack at it and then just see what you think? So I did that, and of course, I'm not a lyric writer, and I never have been. I've done all these songs on all these Allegiant records, but I really hate writing lyrics. And it was one of those things like, I got through half of it. Hey, man, so this is kind of what I'm thinking? And he's like, oh, cool. I'm like, can you finish it? and that was like all the Proponent songs, Gray Matter, and then I just had the chorus written for All Hail Science or whatever, and like literally Riley just saw what I did, and then he's like, oh, and he gets it. Like, he's so intelligent. He just like looks at it, he sees the patterns, he sees the lyrical content, the story of what I'm going for, and just gets it immediately, and then just finishes it, and he turns it into me a few hours later. I'm like, you are amazing. And then the rest of the album, like, we're just like, all right, dude, you get it now, like, go. And I mean, even before that, he came back with some of the songs like A Mind of Matrix, and you hear it, he's like, man, he gets it, like, so quick. Right? So,
and I was going to say too, you were talking about Gray Matter Mechanics. Oh, that is such a great song. It has so many musical elements elements in it. You know, you got your classically flamenco-y stuff in it, and you know what I really love about this, and you don't see this in a lot of metal, is guitar solos. You know, it has like a guitar, it has 2 guitar solos, it has like an acoustic one in it too, you know, just so much going on. I mean, when you write, Greg, could you write a song that goes on for like 20 minutes long? It seems like you can.
Don't get me started. No one wants that, maybe except you and I.
I was just going to say, because just listening to that song, I'm like, look, Greg probably could have went on for another 10 more minutes. And they're probably like, I could just picture the rest of them with their hands going across their throat, like, cut.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's so hard. We're getting ready for this Cavalera, doing the Roots thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why. Whether our agent could just never get it. So we've been headlining, like pretty much our whole career. We've done very few support slots. So the thing with headlining is like, I don't have to, like, yeah, cool, just these songs. We're going to go play out for an hour or whatever. But now we're like, oh, we have 30 minutes. Some of our songs are 10 minutes long. I don't know what we're going to play, guys. Like, I have no clue how we're going to, we want to play a song from every record. Even if it's so hard because their songs, they're too fucking long. It's bad.
But they're great, you know. So tell us really quick a little bit about the artwork. Now, I notice you have, the little symbol up there that looks like the A in a legion, and it kind of reoccurs on the Form Shifter album cover as well, kind of in a different form. Is there more behind this symbol, Greg? Is it some kind of mind thing?
Oh God, I really wish I could say yes. Because that would be cool and make me feel really intelligent. No, not at all. The artwork, we went to the guy who's done all our album artworks, and I think he actually forgot that he had our artwork to do, and what he turned in. It was pretty bad. I was like, oh man, this does not look good. And Metal Blade was like, this is not going on the record. I don't know. I think we might have offended him or something. But in short term, he was like basically like, go to hell. He didn't really say that, but that was kind of how that whole that came to a close. Our relationship with that guy came to a close in a very not a very good way, and which sucks because I loved his artwork, and he's still amazing, and I will still support him. But so we were kind of like up a creek, and it was late. The artwork was supposed to be turned in already for the album, so I was like, I don't know what we're gonna do because we're late with the artwork, and that was one of those things. Like, the album was done, and we still didn't have a cover. Mm-hmm. Like, that was the hold up for the record, and I wanted. It was very depressing for something like that. But, it was a long, arduous process, and it ended up with going with my friend Sam Nilsson, who's done, I think he did First Fragment and Vailenath this year. Mm-hmm. I was like, dude, we usually go for this, photo manipulation. That's kind of the Allegiance thing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, but that's not my thing. And I'm like, yeah. I know. This is kind of what we had in mind. And he's like, that won't look good with my style. And how about this? I'm like, okay. So he did a great job. It's definitely not what I wanted to see with our. But it had nothing to do with the quality of his artwork. It was just really just like, this is what we got, so we're running with it. But I think a lot of people have said really nice things about it, so maybe my opinion is not good.
So you said you have a tour coming up to follow this up?
Yeah, we're doing the Ozfest, which will be a dream come true. Get to play with Black Sabbath before they retire, which will be amazing. Yeah. And then there's a second leg. We have a few more shows in Canada with Cavaleras, and then about a month off and then we go back out again with a tour I can't talk about yet because that has been announced, but it'll be cool.
Well, so then you're going to be pretty busy following up the release, and I'm assuming people could go to either the Metal Blade site, the Facebook page. Do you have a website too?
No.
Okay.
There we go. So we did. We owned it, and then someone's really sneaky. They saw that domain name wore off, and they scooped it up. They're just like, all right.
We got Facebook. You can't have that. So. All right, so there you have it. Proponent for Sentience releases on September 23rd via Metal Blade Records. You can pre-order at the Metal Blade site. Check out the band on their Facebook page and on tour. And Greg, thank you so much for coming on the show to tell us about the new album, and all the best to you and the band.
My pleasure. Thank you for putting up with my annoying voice for this long.